बॉलीवुड पे भूत चढ़ गया है. No, quite literally. There was a time when Bollywood used to reverse in its art. No matter what kind of genre they were producing it in, we could see the artistic integrity. Priyadarshan came out with Bhool Bhulaiyaa in 2007, and we could see the act, the music, the story, the nuances, the craft, everything. Later Bollywood went on and they created something called as Go Go Gone, and we could see the fun the movie had. Then came Stree, which was actually a fun kind of movie. Bollywood revered in horror comedy when they did it sparingly.
हे साले वहां से यहाँ आते आते गांड फट गई है, अब तेरे को पार करना है.
But अब क्या हुआ? एक के बाद एक के बाद एक के बाद घटिया यूनिवर्स, घटिया मूवीज, घटिया चुतियापा बनाए जा रही है Bollywood is riding that dead horse that is Bollywood horror comedy, and they are going to ride it until they milk out every last bit of it and it would be left on the road for dead. बट ये सब स्टार्ट कैसे हुआ? While not many people know, 1965 के अंदर बॉलीवुड की पहली हॉरर कॉमेडी, जो कि एक अनइंटेंशनल हॉरर कॉमेडी मूवी थी, वो रिलीज हुई थी, जो थी फिल्म मेकर महमूद भूत बंगला. फिल्म के अंदर वही क्लासिक हॉरर फार्मूला जो हर बॉलीवुड मूवी में होता है. एक हॉन्टेड हाउस, कुछ अनएक्सप्लेन डेथ्स, कुछ अनसॉल्व्ड मर्डर मिस्ट्री और फिर हॉन्टिंग. इसके बाद रेस में आते हैं द रामसे ब्रदर्स विद देयर इनफेमस बॉलीवुड हॉरर मूवीज लाइक दो गज जमीन के नीचे, पुराना मंदिर, जॉनी दुश्मन, दरवाजा, तहखाना एंड वीराना. I mean, whatever they were trying to do back then. '70s was a weird time, man. And although none of these were intentional horror comedies, but they did unintentionally contribute to the mainstreamification of horror comedy as a genre. Well, 2007 में रिलीज हुई थी भूल भुलैया, which was obviously created by the great Priyadarshan. It itself is a copy of a 1993 Malayalam movie called Mani Chitrathazu. भूल भुलैया अपने टाइम पे रिलीज हुई थी in 2007. It was a box office success, but over the time इस मूवी ने cult status ले लिया है. Today, everyone remembers Bhool Bhulaiyaa for its nostalgic value, its perfect blend of the horror comedy genre, the memorable performance of Akshay Kumar.
इसी की बात की थी ना तुमने? बहुत खतरनाक स्टेज पे. इसे खुला क्यों छोड़ रखा है? इसे खूंटे से बांध के रख दो.
And Vidya Balan, especially Vidya Balan. Don't tell me when you watched Vidya Balan doing that Ami Jai Tomar, you were not mesmerized by her seamless acting. Not only that, Bhool Bhulaiyaa was studded with some iconic music tracks. There was the timeless humor that is still relevant today, whether it was Rajpal Yadav as Chota Pandit या फिर अक्षय कुमार के witty dialogues या फिर जो भी वो मीम कल्चर में जो उसे अलाइव रखा गया है मीम्स और पॉप कल्चर में, और तो और उसकी रिपीट वैल्यू बहुत ज़्यादा है. And Bhool Bhulaiyaa has cemented itself as an iconic cult movie in Indian cinema. Rajan DK has been associated to a lot of contemporary Hollywood horror comedies. Before Stree, they did Go Go Gone, which received mixed reviews. It was also the first Indian zombie movie and also the first Indian stoner movie officially. I mean, I'm not kidding, just look it up. Fast forward to 2018, which was a mixed year kind of for Bollywood. In the same year we saw Tumbad and Andhadhun, we also saw Zero and Bhai Ki Race 3. In the same year we saw Thugs of Hindustan, we also saw Stree. Stree was sort of new, and anyway 2018 was an experimental year for Bollywood. Raj and DK famously wrote Stree over the Naleba urban legend from Karnataka, and they were amused over the fact कि एक भूत जब दरवाजे पे पड़ता है कि भाई कल आना और वो दूध पलट जाता है, and over that they wrote Stree. While Stree draws a lot of inspiration from a Thai horror comedy movie called as PMAC, I would say that the core idea is fresh and it perfectly utilizes an urban legend of Indian folklore. Stree was also a box office success and garnered very positive reviews. और फिर क्या हुआ? Well, the Bollywoodification, the franchise formula, the Bollywood formula. तो फिर अब क्या हो गया? When we actually have seen some decent horror comedy movies, what has happened? Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2, Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, Lakshmi, Roohi, Munja, Bhediya. I mean, Bhediya was decent, but other than that, what has happened to Bollywood? Why has there been an increase in the number of horror comedy movies? Well, for one, nostalgia bit. Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 or Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 relies heavily on its original movie and their nostalgic value, despite being not so good or not even good. कोई एक genre चल गया, किसी एक particular type की movie चल गई, तो बना दो उस पे franchise, बना दो वैसे हजारों movies. When comedy movies work, we see a plethora of comedy movies working. अभी यश राज universe, Spy universe, ये वो action movies were coming in all from all the places. Now horror comedy is working so that everybody is going through the horror comedy phase. अब मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि franchise बनाना कोई बुरी बात है, and neither I'm saying that the cinematic universes that they are creating is good, but where's the quality? Using name of an original movie and creating franchises or a shared universe or sequels using the name of the original movie intact is a safe formula. It ensures that their new movie, even if it's not as good, will be viewed and will be a huge success just because it rides on the name of its predecessor. Complain to ho gayi, but why is this a problem? Well, for one, we see actors like Akshay Kumar trying those hands in this genre and creating one of the worst shit that we have ever watched. They don't even do it responsibly. Kanchana was a movie that relies heavily on its transgender character and then they took care of it very gracefully. Lakshmi, like literally, they just fucking being transphobic and had those same old jokes, same old cringe shit, and they created a movie, and I'm glad that it was a disaster. Same was the problem with Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2. When Bhool Bhulaiyaa was rebranded as a Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 and they did a soft reboot with Anis Bazmi, what was the soul? It wasn't even a sequel, it was just a reboot disguised as one, but they dare had the audacity to put Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 in it. The story had no meaningful connection to the original Bhool Bhulaiyaa, there was just a string which was the name Manjulika, जिसको भी उन्होंने रिड्यूस कर दिया कॉम्प्लेक्स साइकोलॉजिकल कॉन्सेप्ट से एक जेनरिक गोस्ट ट्रोप में. द ओरिजिनल भूल भुलैया had many things to say. For once, it holds the original social message about the stigma around mental health. But the second Bhool Bhulaiyaa just reduced the fucking complex psychological concept into a fucking generic horror trope. Humor loud था, scares cheap थे और characters में कोई depth नहीं थी. Well, जिसको TikTok पसंद है उसको ये movie बहुत पसंद आएगी. But this was dog shit too. It's like Pushpa 2, Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 was a hit. Maybe because of the nostalgia bit, maybe because of anything, but it was a hit, which was a detrimental point because of which Bollywood tried to create more horror comedy movies which neither had the soul, neither had anything to it. They just banged on the name of the predecessor, or they just banged on the concept of it being a horror comedy and kept on churning out bullshit. And that's my problem when movies or genres start to become formulaic. One good thing that horror movies can do is provide a social commentary in a digestible format. One of such example was Stree, which not only provided the horror comedy genre as a fresh take, but also had a feminine subtext and sharp humor. Stree was an all-and-out satire. There was the fear of night. The men in the movie experienced what women endure in reality. There was the objectification of men. Stree targets only men, reducing them to disposable objects, mirroring how women are often dehumanized in male-dominated spaces in the reality. There was the superstition metaphor. The town's blind reliance on rituals and slogans to keep Stree at bay reflects societal tendencies to address deep-rooted gender issues with superficial solutions like traditions. The spirit of Stree is not just a ghost. She is a symbol of suppressed female agency and rage. The legend reveals that the Stree was a woman wronged in life, embodying centuries of silent voices. उसकी जो डिमांड थी रिस्पेक्ट के लिए वो उसका रोल प्ले करता है एज एन अवेंजर, targeting the society that has historically disrespected and marginalized women. Then came Bhedia, which was the second installment in the horror franchise. Bhedia was an all-in-out decent movie, but was there any need for the post-credit scene to tie it up to the Stree universe, other than acting it as a safety blanket? You tell me. Was my problem when Stree 2 was released. Stree 2 tarnished the legacy of Stree. One of the reasons Stree resonated with audience because it was a layered critique of gender inequality, whereas Stree 2 just renders Stree into a formulaic horror comedy movie with the tropes sidelining the inclusive social critique that made the original movie unique. Stree 2 ने सिर्फ प्रायोरिटाइज किया था ह्यूमर और स्पेक्टाकल को ओवर डेप्थ. Stree 2 ने फ्रेंचाइज को एक शॉलो कमर्शियल प्रोडक्ट बना लिया है जो सिर्फ पैसों के लिए बनाई जा रही है. Stree 2 seems more like an attempt to expand the universe rather than telling a self-contained, self-critic story like the original Stree did. The recent trend and the recent rise of horror comedy movies are not made for their cultural value or to explore the genre's true potential. They are created precisely because the horror comedy genre proven to be a safe bet at box office. When Stree broke records, Bollywood took notice, but rather than focusing on the qualities that made Stree successful, its unique mix of horror, humor and social commentary, studios simply saw an opportunity to reflect the genre without any effort to innovate or craft any meaningful stories. The result is a flood of films that feels less like creative projects and more like a cheap copy to make a quick buck. The worst part of the recent horror comedy movies कि उनमें horror सिर्फ एक नाम का है. Those movies are outright comedy movies with just elements of horror in it. So yeah, Bollywood, please stop creating this shit and the mess that the horror comedy genre is, and please Akshay Kumar, stop decriing every genre there is. Bye.